Hi, it's Roger Hamilton with How to Love Like a Genius. Now, for many people, they'll be thinking, why would I want to love like a genius? There's something really sexy, and at the same time, there's something really compelling and attractive about someone who's coming from their true essence as to who they are. And whether or not this is you looking to revitalize your relationship, whether it's you looking for the perfect soulmate, it's really incredible just what a difference it makes when we start to understand that we have got these different frequencies that we already are able to vibrate and get into tune with. And when we really get that, we have this ability to be able to just get really focused at the other person that we're working with in a way that allows us to be able to tap into their energy, their essence, and the genius of who they are. So why do we always get it so wrong? Why is it so difficult to actually start looking through the eyes of someone instead of us constantly judging things from the point of view of ourselves? It's a natural thing, but often it becomes because we don't have the language and the structure which allows us to be able to actually get into tune with those around us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share how the 4 different geniuses allow us to get a far better understanding of how different people are different from us. What is it that allows us to actually get really tuned in to the experience that someone else is having in life? Because they are looking at it in a different way. And how these 4 geniuses also you could almost sense based on the 4 different energies that we have got, as I mentioned with Dynamo Genius in some of our other videos, this idea of spring energy, where they just love this idea of starting new things all the time. We'll come back to that in a moment. But that's very different from summer energy. Even if you think about how crops are grown, if you think about how flowers bloom, there's a certain season in which it's the appropriate time to be planting, a certain season where it's the appropriate time where you actually find things blooming. And this is exactly the same when it comes to relationships as well, and it comes to different types of people. You'll find that from spring we get to summer, which is our blaze genius. From summer we'll then get to tempo, which is our autumn genius. And these link into the kind of environment and the kind of relationship which actually gives us by far the very, very best fulfillment in what we're looking to be able to actually tap into the genius of who we are. From tempo we get to steel, which is our winter genius. And I could actually take this to something which is actually probably far more intuitive. Have you ever played with a pack of playing cards? It's really interesting, because if you actually go back to the origins of where playing cards came from, and they actually came from out east, and all of this information I'm giving you, as you'll see from some of the other videos, goes all the way back 5,000 years to the Eastern philosophies, that you'll find that playing cards actually link to these 4 sides as well. That we actually have something which is head in the clouds, which is the idea of clubs, which I'll put at the top here. So here's the club symbol. And using a symbol here is going to help in a moment, as you're going to see by the kind of energy we have, which is the opposite of something which is earth, spade, which is here, which is feet and ear to the ground. We have got structure, kneading structure, which is on this side, which is diamonds. And then we've got hearts, which is all about the people. So these are the 4 different elements. Of course, there's a joker, which is the 5th. And for those who follow through in some of these videos, you'll see how the 5th element actually taps into all of this. But on each of these, you're going to find that there's a different element which we tap into when it comes to what we really love most in life. And I'm not just talking about loving people. I'm talking about loving your life, loving the activities, the experiences, the way you've set up your entire life in a way that when you get up in the morning, you're just excited, not just because of what's coming from the inside, but what's all around you on the outside. So what are these 4 things? Well, at the top part here, you'll find that there is a word, which is the word thrill. Dynamo geniuses love the concept of thrill. And what I mean by thrill is something new, something exciting, a surprise of one sort or another, and often the surprises where they surprise themselves. You're going to find that from thrill, we have a different word here, a word called fun. Blaze geniuses just love having fun. If you put someone who's a blaze genius in a situation where they can't be expressing themselves or having fun in that same way, then you're going to find often that that in itself will actually take them out of their flow. You're going to find here on tempo, it's a different word. It's a word called care, because they want to feel you care, and they want to feel they have an opportunity to care as well. It's why so many people on this side, they'll actually get involved. The people on this side will get involved in people-based businesses because there's always variety and fun to be had with different people. You'll find that the people who are the geniuses on tempo genius will be spending all their time doing things where they can actually see care showing up every day, whether it's in the care fields, like the hospital field or the medical field, or whether it's even in services. And then here, on this side here, is a very different structure, which is about a word called comfort. which is not having big surprises all the time. It's not having suddenly like something that's out of control. It's actually all about control, and it's about actually knowing that things are going to be the way that you really want them to be. Is it possible to actually have an experience where you can actually have comfort when you've got someone who's a steel genius together with someone who's a blaze genius, where also fun can come in? Of course it is. But if the blaze genius is actually wondering why the steel genius is not more fun, they're missing the point. They can already be creating their own fun experiences, but one that also has a level of comfort before or after. And vice versa, if you have someone who is a tempo genius, who just wants to have that sense of care, is it possible to have fun with care or to have thrill with care? Of course it is. But often we forget the other side. We miss out on it altogether. You know what's really interesting about this? All relationships, as well as the way that we actually have relationships, even with our kids, with our husband, wife, all relationships, they all go through cycles, just as all things go through cycles. And so, for example, you always notice that in a new relationship, let's say, for example, a boyfriend, girlfriend, it always starts in the spring energy. It doesn't matter what time of year it is. The truth is that the moment you're in that space and it's like, I'm in love, it's always in this space up here, that from that spring, every different relationship, whether it's a team or whether it's two people coming together, will always end up going from the spring to the summer. And that's always when it kind of goes from, that energy, which is like, wow, everything's new, everything's exciting, asking each other lots of questions about things, where you want to go, where you've been. And then it gets to a point which is like, hey, let's go meet our friends. And this is where it's all much more about who's connecting with who. Hey, let's go meet our friends. Hey, let's come out, come and see my family. And this always happens at this part over here. And you can find that all different experiences, all different relationships go from this side to this side, which is that part where you kind of go from, we've just kind of met everyone now, you met my mother, you met my father, let's just now stay at home and just watch TV and just be boring, right? This is the part where it's like, just each other's company is enough. And from this part over here, at some point, all relationships will always get to this point over here, where everything seems to be the same. And it's always at that point, when she turns to him or he turns to her and goes, you've changed. And of course, now it's neither of you who changed. It's the season that changed. Knowing the seasons and knowing we all go through them allows us to be able to tap into the right place for us at any point. To actually say, yeah, maybe it's winter, but it's about to be spring again. And know it's going to be the thrill of something that's going to shift you back to the next season again. Every single relationship can always come back in its cycle, and every new relationship is always ready to start today, provided you know what it is that allows you to be able to bring your genius alive. And more importantly, when you meet others, you know how to connect with them in such a way that you understand and respect their genius, and you allow their genius to come alive as well.